thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate that.
You're
really
very welcome.
appreciate your time. We've just had a fantastic conference today. Everybody has nearly gone, so thank you for staying back. Really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
How's it gone for you?
It's been very good. The timing has been exquisite.
Yeah.
Couldn't have planned it better.
Yeah.
Morning was excellent because I think we got a chance to hear from the Skills Funding Agency. Some real meat.
There's a lot of detail there as well. They spent 2 hours, Matt. I mean, that was a lot of information there.
Yeah, it was very useful.
Yeah.
You know, I was busy firing emails back to work to say, think of this, think of that.
Right.
And a lot to take in. But, you know, as conferences go, I think the quality of the input was really high.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I mean, you were a speaker today as well. I mean, you shared your knowledge and your sort of thoughts as well in terms of your organisation, West Berkshire Training Consortium, WBTC. Just tell us a little bit about your organisation, your involvement. You know, obviously I've heard the story. I've done a little bit of research on you. You know, there's a whole sort of turnaround strategy that you had to in place, and just walk us through that.
Well, it's a rare breed. It's a charitable training provider. There's not many of us left.
Yeah.
And we've been going since 1983. And our principles are really to serve young people in particular through apprenticeships. Yeah. We work predominantly in West Berkshire for our own delivery, but we do have quite a large network of subcontractors. Right. Hence why my topic was about subcontracting, which a month ago seemed like a dead parrot. Yeah. It's been revived. But the point I really wanted to make was I think we need to take the opportunity to identify the poor practice and get rid of it, because it's a new beginning for apprenticeships. I think a fresh start for subcontracting is needed too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, subcontracting at times has a bad name, and we've gone through. I mean, I've been 16 years in the industry, and it goes through sort of dips and it goes through points where sometimes it's encouraged, sometimes it's discouraged, and so forth. And at the moment, you know, it seems like there's an element of, you know what, this is bad for the sector and bad for the industry. Just your thoughts on that. Obviously, your view. Obviously, I've heard the presentation, fantastic. But just generally for our audience, your thoughts on that.
I think generally subcontracting is a good thing. Yeah. I lobbied with many others the Skills Funding Agency using research, logic, evidence, and persuaded them.
You presented a case to them.
Presented a case, and I think it persuaded them. You know, this has a real value to employers, and subcontracting exists in all sectors. And levy payers, who are some of the largest companies, if you take a large levy-paying construction company, they will be used to the concept of subcontracting.
They'll have a supply chain. They'll support the organisation. So it's an opportunity for SMEs. It's an opportunity for small organisations to come in. You know, they may not have that infrastructure, so it's sometimes an easy route, and you've got the support of a larger organisation supporting you.
No, absolutely. If you are a small provider, you're not going to be able to handle Vodafone's levy account, but you may be able to handle Vodafone's levy account in Kent, for example. So I think it's vital that those routes to this very important market are left open.
And it's a way for providers to potentially collaborate and work together and look at their strengths as well. So as I say, the 1+1 analogy, where you're actually stronger together rather than on your own.
Most definitely. Yeah. And in particular, I think for employers who would like to get involved in provision, that the retention of the 100,000 threshold allows a very gentle entrance into the market where you don't have to register. You can link yourself to an approved main provider and learn how to become an employer-based provider. And I know that because we did that with one of our employers, and now they are a really high-quality, successful local provider.
Right, okay. Just so we understand the size of WBTC. I mean, obviously, we do a little. You mentioned you do some work yourself in the sort of Berkshire region, but you also have subcontractors. Yeah. What's the dimension at the moment in terms of the split? If you care to share that with us.
We probably subcontract about half of what we do, so it's a fair old chunk. Yeah. Part of that subcontracting will deliver some, and some of that subcontracting we subcontract wholly.
Right, so it's like end to end, and some of it, it's like...
Yeah, and then we'll have some of our provision where we deliver 100%. So we've got quite a diverse business model.
Right, Okay. And where do you see the future in terms of subcontracting and the partnership work, in terms of the models that are out there, in terms of employers getting involved, suppliers, and then the main sort of provider? How do you see that sort of mix going in the future?
I think it will look similar to as it does now, in as much that you'll have organisations out there who want to do a little bit and will only be able to do it through subcontracting. Yeah. Organisations out there who want to do a bit more and choose to be subcontractors, but then probably a constant steady supply of organisations going it on their own. Yeah. And we've spent a lot of time talking about progression for apprenticeships. I think there'll be a progression of providers coming in small, becoming supporting providers, going on to becoming main providers.
Okay, interesting. In terms of yourselves as a consortia, I've come across a number of consortias, organisations that predominantly subcontract majority of their activity. Do you feel that they're in a slightly riskier situation with the changes happening, or are they able to sort of adapt, do you think, to the models that are going to be in place?
That's a really good question, and that key element of delivering something is the threshold they've got to cross. So if you're not delivering anything to an employer, the rules say you're excluded from applying. But what do you need to be doing to cross over and now actually be involved in delivery? And it's uncertain whether, for example, do I deliver one apprenticeship out of 10, or do I deliver 10% to every apprentice? Yeah. But they're going to have to do something different, because as things stand now, they can't even apply.
Right, okay. Yourselves as an organisation, without giving commercial sensitive information out, are you looking at sort of the EPA endpoint assessment model? Are you looking at, maybe looking at delivering that yourselves, or becoming an organisation? Where are you in terms of your sort of planning and strategy?
Yes, we're interested in being able to deliver an EPA, particularly in customer service. That's one of the programs we deliver directly. That's probably, for the short term, until the business administration standard comes along, will probably be the sum of our involvement in EPAs. Right.
So that is an opportunity that you're taking as a positive thing in terms of moving that forward.
Yeah,
that's good. What about yourselves in terms of as a sort of, I take it you'll be a main organisation in terms of getting a contract. What's your sort of view in terms of and recommendation for an organisation that's mid-size, that potentially has got to take the chance, say, of going for one or the other, and there may be a sort of in between, maybe going for a main or a supplier, because it seems a lot of risk for somebody to say, potentially we could be a main, but if we don't get it, then it's sort of doom and gloom. It seems like a lot of chance, a lot of risk.
It's a gamble, undoubtedly. Yeah. And do you play it safe? Reminds me of Bullseye. Do you gamble what you've already got and go home with nothing?
There's no easy answer there, is there?
There isn't. They've got to ask themselves those questions. Do we have the capacity, the robustness to do this on our own, or would it be safer to be a subcontractor? And that's a very individual decision.
That's an individual decision.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I was very interested in terms of reading the sort of turnaround strategy that you had to when you joined your organisation, West Berkshire Training Consortium. You talked about the management team and so forth. Just tell us a little bit about your management style, how you work on a personal basis, and what you had to do with that journey, if you don't mind.
Well, my career seems to have been finding myself in the position where things are going really badly wrong and having to fix it as quickly as possible. Yeah. And I think times like that, it's about a resilience of your own character and a determination. So yes, I think in all circumstances where I've been in that, you have to have a constant belief that you are correct, that your vision is the one to pursue and not to be deflected from it. Yeah. And in the case of West Berkshire Training Consortium, it was about getting back to the founding principles of the organisation, absolutely, which was about young people in good quality apprenticeships with local employers. And we're back in that particular place, which is a good place to be, because I do recognise that a lot more adults will get involved in apprenticeships, and it will be a great vehicle for their upskilling. But the future of our workforce is with young people, each year and every year, and that is what we are here for principally.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for staying. Thank you.
No,
Appreciate
you're
that.
very
Thank you so
welcome
much.
indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.